Same thing
Yep.
with business.
Yep.
You need to run it every single day as if it's for sale,
Right.
because when you decide I want to sell, you don't need people like Orrin in the consulting world to say, well, a couple of things we need to fix in order to make it more profitable. You're going to get more money out of it, etc.
Yep. Yep.
And if you do it every day, you're going to reap the benefits all along as you're running the business. We're going to talk about this. And that to me is the biggest lesson I could have for everybody is think about your exit strategy from day one.
Hey guys, it's Neil here today with an exciting guest. I have got Orrin from Orrin Huebner and Associates. Orrin, how are you doing?
I'm great, Neil. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, this is going to be great. You and I have had the most amazing chats over the last couple of years. And when we launched GoGo Refresh Media, one of the things that we want to do is we want to bring industry experts onto the platform so they can share their knowledge. And with that being said, Orrin, tell us a little bit about your history in this industry. And I know it's been a while, right?
It's been a while. So I started out working for somebody back in 1973, spent about 25 years learning the business with him and doing everything under the sun. Went in with a partner, bought a business, sold it, opened up another one, sold it to Canteen back in 2012. And then from 12 to 21, I worked for Canteen running their OCS and Pantry and Water and Ice here in Chicago. Helped them with some national activities and did a little bit of a road tour going to different branches, trying to improve processes and what they do.
Okay.
Left Canteen in 21. The honey-do list got done in about 6 weeks and decided to start a consulting firm. And the consulting firm turned into not only consulting, but mergers and acquisitions. And a big part of our business today is mergers and acquisitions. And some people aren't ready to sell. They think they are, but they're not. And so the part of the consulting piece is let's get them ready. Let's find out where the struggles are and improve them. In other cases, they're ready to go. They've done it the right way. Through my connections over the 50 years in the business, and not only as an independent, but working for Canteen, I have a lot of connections, and I'm able to put together some really good accomplishments in the merger and acquisition place where the buyer's happy, the seller's happy, and fortunately we've been really good where everybody's walked away very satisfied. Yeah,
that's good. So, Orrin, I've been doing this as well for a long time, not as long as you. When I was a manufacturer's rep here in the Bay Area, there was 50 independent vending companies that we could go and call on. Fast forward the story 20, 25 years, there's only 5 left.
Yeah.
You've probably seen that across the entire country. Why do you think the big, the old school legacy vending companies / micro market as well, now Office Copy, why do you think they're moving on? What's the trends?
I think it's generational. The first generations who started the business, they might have passed it on to the second generation. Now the second generation, the third generation isn't as excited about what it takes to be in this business. And they want what their parents had, but there's a lot of work to it.
Oh, totally.
And they just want to do something else, or the parents have afforded them the opportunity to do something else. And so I think a lot of it is generational. I think a lot of it is people are paying a lot for businesses today. So when
good time to get out, right? Good time
to get out. Another thing is people tire after 15, 20, 30 years. They tire of doing what they're doing every single day.
Right.
They might have been at $1 million for 15 years. They don't see how they're going to get it to $5 or $10 million. People are paying well today. It's a good opportunity to get out. They also can get concerned about inflation. They can get concerned about tariffs. They can get concerned about change, and they might not be great at change. So they don't want to go from vending to micro markets to smart cafes and smart stores. And I think change is another thing that they don't want to do, and they're afraid they're going to lose business because they're not able to change.
Yeah, and they've probably changed their entire career, and now it's another change that they have to do, probably a much bigger step up into the technology world of market, whatever. Plus the fact, doing business these days is different. It's hard to get labor. It's hard to get really good labor. Then you've got all the different laws, whether you're union shop or not, and then all the other regulations. It just makes life so much difficult. So these older generational vending / micro market companies are like, you know what? I think it's time to go.
And I think in some ways they hold on too long in some cases.
Yeah.
We can talk about different businesses that they treat the business more like a child than an asset.
Yep.
So those that look at it as an asset, now is the right time to look at, is it time to have my exit strategy fulfilled? Right. Those who think it's a child because they've had it for 40 years, 30 years, 50 years. My dad had it. My grandfather had it. I'm tired of it, but boy, I can't walk away from it. That becomes more of a child, and they have difficulty with the thought process to move on from this. And they usually, in too many cases, they could have gotten $20 million 10 years ago, and post-pandemic, they might get 10 because the business is half of what it was, and they haven't been able to build it back up.
Yeah, I know several vendors that got out about 6 months to a year before COVID ever happened, and they got top price. And a couple of those were pantry service. And, in the pantry service world, especially on the West Coast and the East Coast, the pantry service business potentially shrunk by 60, if not more %.
Yeah, it's coming back with return to work, but we're 5 years post-COVID now, and it's taken a long time, and in many cases those accounts are 60-70% of what they were. Yeah, which means even with getting paid on a higher note, high dollar for dollar, you're not going to. You don't have the dollars in those accounts that you did before. So I think it's the timing has to be right for every business, and just because it's right for one doesn't mean it's right for another. And those are the conversations we have as intermediaries.
Yep. Well, I am extremely excited, Orrin, to introduce you as our first content creator for the GoGo Refresh platforms, the cool break rooms, and more specifically for this topic, the vending connection. So, Orrin, you're going to be coming on and doing a monthly show with us. Whether it's writing articles or maybe the odd video here and there, but just as a kind of a request for the viewers, what type of things will you be talking about? And first and foremost, when is it a good time to sell your vending company?
When you think it's the right time. And I know that's a simple answer, but you have to be all in on the thought process. If you're half in, half out, you talk about AA, and they say the time to quit drink is when you finally decide it's time, right? It's the same thing here. There's conversations we have for 2 or 3 years with sellers. Yeah, they're there, but they're not fully there. And once you're fully there, jump in. And we're going to talk about how you run your business on a daily basis. Neil, you've heard me say this too many times. I'll say it again for the viewers here. The best time how you run your business is as if it's for sale every single day.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
And I too many people wait. Okay, it's time to sell, and they try to do the fixings in order to sell it. I relate it to selling a house. Right. I've used this analogy. You've heard me say this before, and I'm going through it right now myself. As a matter of fact, that people want to sell their house. So what do? They put a fresh coat of paint on the outside, the inside. They fix the cracks. They maybe put in a new water heater. They do all of these things to fix their house to sell. Yeah. And then they look at the house and they say, boy, this is pretty great. Why am I moving?
I'm going to stay.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But if they decide I want to sell, they can do it today if they're fixing it as they go along and they're enjoying the house. Same thing with business. Yep. You need to run it every single day as if it's for sale, because when you decide I want to sell, you don't need people like Orrin in the consulting world to say, well, a couple of things we need to fix in order to make it more profitable. You're going to get more money out of it, etc. And if you do it every day, you're going to reap the benefits all along as you're running the business. We're going to talk about this. And that to me is the biggest lesson I could have for everybody is think about your exit strategy from day one. You're starting your business, how you're going to sell it. Processes, you talk about processes, you talk about people, you talk about technologies, all of those things. So we're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about what does a cost of goods look like and why should you be concerned with cost of goods, and what do we do as intermediaries to get your business ready to sell, and what do we look at, and all of those things. People say, well, I'm not making any money, what's my business worth? People aren't supposed to make money, because the more money you make, Uncle Sam takes it. So all accountants work to make sure that you're not paying more money to Uncle Sam. And we know how to read those financials in order to make sure that you can max out on what businesses will buy your business from. We're going to talk about some of that too.
No, that's great. I mean, people are going to be so want to hear this, because if you put so much effort into building your company over multiple years, even a swing of 2 to 5% more than what you would have got if you just did this yourself, that's a big chunk of change for some of these companies who are doing multiple millions.
And that's why people always say, and I know they've asked you this question, they ask me the question all the time, why use an intermediary? I can do this. I know my business and I can do it myself. And that's what we're going to talk about. Why to use an intermediary? There's egos involved when you're selling your business, and the seller and the buyer, and how those discussions go. Egos get in the way and deals get messed up at times. We're going to talk about why an intermediary. We're going to talk about it's not only what you get on the top, but what do you take away afterwards? What's your real number that you're going to walk away with, and how can you save money on some of your taxes? And we're going to talk about some of those things too, and how there's discussions going on in the background that you as the seller don't necessarily have to know every detail. And if you go with an experienced operator, which I was and am, somebody who's successful in this business, somebody who's worked for the big three, one of the big three, along with being an intermediary or an operator, we know both sides. And one of the specialties I come away with is I not only did I do it on my own, sell business, buy businesses. When I was with Canteen, I was involved with a lot of their acquisitions in Chicago. So I know not only what it feels like to purchase somebody, I also know what it feels like on the backside after you sell your business, and what does life after selling looks like. We're going to talk about that, Neil. We're going to talk about what does life look like after you sell, and what are you going to miss? What are you going to be happy about? Because let's face it, there's only so many days a week you can play golf.
Right. That gets old after about 6 months, right?
So what do you do? Well, for some it gets old. So for some it doesn't get old. Their handicap improves. But
I've been fortunate enough to sell 3 businesses. The first business was kind of a fire sale. It was a basketball business in New Zealand. And my wife wanted me to finish up my semi-pro basketball career and move back to America. No problem. So I fire sailed this little business, and I sold it for just $20,000. They wrote me out a check for 10, and I never got the other 10. That was the first one. The second one was I sold my little vending company here in Pleasanton, and I sold it off in little chunks. And then the last chunk, a big vendor bought it off me. And after he bought it off me, he started losing some of those accounts. And he said to me a really good piece of information that I've hung on to, is he said, Neil, good job on growing a little company, but you were so personally involved in the company that every single client could call your cell phone number to immediately get the problem handled, which is great. but we're a big company. No, they're not calling my cell phone number.
Yeah.
Right? They need to go through the 1-800 number. And so, Neil, that's why, we're a good company. We've got great customer service, but we can't match you. So that was a good piece of advice for me. So the next business I sold, which was Vend Central, and I was fortunate enough to sell it to Cantaloupe, I actually had managers that ran Vend Central. I'd do all my crazy things across the top, but every day the managers took care of it. And it was a lot easier to sell because I had some knowledge prior to saying, and I set it up correctly to sell. Not that I wanted to sell it, but there came a time when it was time. And so I think you're right. Well, Orrin, listen, I'm super excited. You're our first specialist content creator to go in deep on a topic, and your topic is mergers and acquisitions. And we look forward to seeing all the content that you're going to come up with and post it across our platforms. If you're a company anywhere in America, just fill out the form on that vending connection, and that'll jump right over to Orrin, and you guys can start discussing how to prepare in advance to sell your company that you've worked so hard to build.
Thanks, Neil. Listen, I'm excited about this. I'm excited to be your first content contributor and to be able to share some of this with everybody else and get them prepared. And it's just a lot of fun to do it in a good way and a fun way like you and I love to do.
That's it. I've been doing this for 30 years. You've been doing it for 47, and you and I have had the coolest conversations over the last couple of years. I have learned so much from you, Orrin, and I really look forward to our viewers sharing in your knowledge base as well.
Thanks, Neil.
All right. Thanks a lot.